Hi guys. Today we're working on nonlinear systems of equations. We will have 3 examples. Off we go. So notice that this one we have 2 equations that are already set up on the y equals for us. When I have something like this, I will use substitution to where I get this function, this equation, and I substitute that for that y. So, or I can get this 4x squared equation and replace that right there for that y equals. It's going to look like this. So 4x squared minus 32x minus 30 equals negative 32x plus 6. They equal each other because y equals y. So if y equals y, this equals that. Just that simple. Now, the goal is to, we're isolating x. So add 32x to both sides. And on the same step, I'll go ahead and minus 6 right there on both sides. This is 0. This is 0. Go ahead and add. So 4x squared minus 36 equals 0. Oh, this is 0 also. So equals 0. Here you can solve by factoring, or we can do square root. Let's go ahead and do square root. So add 36 to both sides. Now this is 0. Bring this down. 4x squared equals 36. Divide by 4. This is 1. 36 divided by 4 is 9. Now, for me to be able to get rid of the x squared, I need to square root both sides. Remember, when you take the square root of both sides, you get a plus or minus. So plus or minus square root of 9, that equals 3. Plus or minus 3. If you need to write yourself a little side note right there, that every time you take the square root of both sides, you get plus or minus 3. So I have x, I need to go back and find the value of y. So go back and you plug in x equals 3, and you also need to do the same for x equals negative 3. I'll go ahead and plug that back in on the second equation just because it looks easier to me because I don't have to deal with a square. So y equals negative 32, x is 3 plus 6. Multiply here, I have 96, negative 96 plus 6, negative 90 for y. So one of my solutions will be when x is 3, y is negative 9 for that one. Let's see what we have right there for x equals negative 3. So y equals, again, I'm substituting that in the second equation. Now, when you multiply two negatives, we have a positive. So positive 96 plus 6, I have 102. So the other solution is when x is negative 3, y is 102. So this is the end of our first example. Example 2. Okay, so here I have 2 that are squared right there on top. And the second one is just simply x equals. So again, in my eyes, it's easier just to do substitution here. So where I have x, I will replace or substitute y plus 13 with right there in that first equation. So substitution right there. So instead of writing x, I will go ahead and write y plus 13 squared because it's x squared plus y squared is 97. Now for this one, you can either do the box or you can do FOIL or you can multiply that mentally. Just remember that y plus 13 squared, That means y plus 13 times y plus 13. So if you want to set up the box, this is what it looks like. And then you multiply. And then you combine like terms. So after you multiply that, you can get the answer from here. So y squared plus 26y plus 169 plus y squared equals 97. Okay, let's set it equal to 0. So minus 97 on both sides. This equals 0. So y squared plus 26. Oh, let's go ahead and combine here. Why not? One last thing I have to do. So here I have 2y squared plus 26y plus, this is 2, this is 7. So plus 72 equals 0. Let's factor out 2. That means divide everybody by 2. 2 is right there, so plus. Now let's solve this by factoring. So I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to 36, same two numbers that add up to 13. So 9 and 4. The next step, you set each factor equal to 0 and solve. So easy. So I have y plus 9 equals 0, y plus 4 equals 0, minus 9 on both sides. I have y equals negative 9, minus 4 on both sides. I get y equals negative 4. Just like what we did in example 1, we have to do this right here. We need to go back and you plug in y equals negative 9 and plug in y equals negative 4. And I just need to find x. I will go ahead and plug that in on the second equation just because it's easier. Either way will work, but this one will give you the answer way easier for x. So x equals y plus 13. X equals y is negative 9 plus 13. Negative 9 plus 13, I have x equals 4 for this one. So the first solution, when x is 4, y is negative 9. So here we go. When y equals negative 4, negative 4 plus 13, that is 9. Let's write this solution. So when x is 9, y is negative 4. One more. Now the next one, we have a whole bunch of squares. And it's okay, because there's also the elimination method that I can apply and get rid of at least one of the x squared or y squared here. So let's use elimination. And by that, I will try to eliminate x squared. For me to be able to do that, I can multiply the first equation by negative 1. So I'm going to multiply and put it right here. So negative x squared minus 5y equals negative 11. So this first equation right there doesn't exist anymore, but I will go ahead and add them together to eliminate x squared. Okay, so here I have 0. 5y squared doesn't combine with negative 5y, so they're still separate. 21 minus 11 is 10. So we minus 10 on both sides. So I can set up this equation equal to 0. So now I can solve by factoring. So factor 5 out. So Now I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to -2, same two numbers that add up to -1. So y minus 2, y plus 1. Now set each factor equal to 0 and solve. So y minus 2 is a factor, y plus 1 is a factor. Add 2 to both sides. I have y equals 2. Minus 1 on both sides. I have y equals -1. So we're going to go back. I will go ahead and come back and plug in on the first equation because I only have x squared. Y is not squared. So in my eyes, the first equation will be easier. But again, if you want to go with the second equation, that's fine. It's going to work just as well. So plug in y equals 2. And here you're going to plug in y equals -1. X squared plus 5y equals 11. So substitute this 2 right there for that y. Minus 10 on both sides. Now, remember from example 1, every time we're taking the square root of both sides, you will end up with plus or minus. So square root of 1 is plus or minus 1. Notice that at this point, we have two solutions right here. One where x is 1, y is 2. Also, when x is -1, y is also 2. Let's see what y equals -1 brings. So we're going to follow the same steps, but at this time, we will replace y with -1. So plus 5 on both sides. Just like what we did here, we take the square root of both sides, plus or minus 4. So when x is 4, y is -1. When x is -4, y is also -1. Sometimes you will have a whole bunch of solutions. And it's okay. Just remember, when you're taking the square root, they're both positive and negative. And then you have to go back and substitute on the equation. Have a good day.